You haven't changed a day since last time I saw you in 2010.
Is that right? Where'd you see me?
Rock in America.
Oh, right on. All right.
And prior to that, one of my most memorable shows ever of all time, which you must remember,
Which one is that?
where your hat just blew off into the sky.
Oh, yeah. Everybody thought we were gonna all die.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, it was
Oh man,
interesting
that
show.
was something else. Yeah.
And I think you had about three or four songs to play, and most of us out there would have stayed.
Yeah, exactly. I was surprised everybody was staying in the first place. I was like, you people are nuts. I was waiting for everyone to leave, and I was like, all right, we're out of here.
It was crazy, and then we had a few hours like in the tent. I was next to I think the guy was the sheriff of Pryor, and
Oh, is that right?
yeah, he's going, nah, everything's okay. It was just
Yeah,
black.
they're for them, it's just another Monday over there, you know?
That's right. Some
Not,
great times. As soon as I heard the song, though, the new song around again, had to see if you were up for a chat. It's
yeah, absolutely, man.
absolutely
Absolutely.
love it.
Cool. Cool.
It's
Very cool.
it's a great song.
I appreciate that.
Have you more of them?
I've got another song that's done. That's been done for probably about 4 or 5 years. And it was just something, even this song, I wasn't even planning on doing anything with it.
Yeah.
I was actually planning on giving it to somebody else to record.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's got your distinctive vocal, but it's also got that wonderful sort of, it's got a sound, I think, that appeal to anyone. If you love your country music, you love your Americana, you love your rock ballads, that sort
Right.
of thing. It's like
Right.
those songs that I think it just clicked with me first time. I thought it's just a great song. It's like Steve Marriott said, a great song's a great song. Doesn't matter how you dress it up or what you play with it.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. Yeah. I mean, it never set out to be anything in particular. I mean, I think I had this idea, um, a verse and a chorus, sitting around probably since 2016, and I ended up running into a guy who was like, "Hey, I heard you had some ideas. You know, I do a lot of session stuff. I write a lot of songs. Send me your idea." So it was basically just me singing into my iPhone, playing my acoustic verse chorus. He sent it back to me, start to finish, put a bridge in there, put a pre-chorus. I was like, all right, cool, let's record this thing.
Yeah. So how did you meet James?
What's that?
How did you meet James? How did you meet James? It is James.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry, this I got an old pair of earbuds in here. I met him at a party, believe it or not. He walked in with three acoustic guitar cases, and he opened everyone he opened was another like stellar acoustic, like thousands and thousands of dollars. And I'm like, who is this guy? So I met him there. You know, it was pretty informal. And then I saw him again at a bar, and he walked over to me. He's like, "Hey, I heard you got some ideas, a lot of ideas kicking around musically." I'm like, "Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff." He's like, we should hang out. He's like, "We talk easy." And he's like, "Take my number, send me something." And that's kind of how it happened.
And still in Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's yeah, it's interesting how things like that happen, isn't it? And I mean, it seems to be working as far as I can see from what we've seen. I remember years
Yeah.
ago when you used to have the website, you'd put all that rare stuff up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Again, this song wasn't something that I even set out to record, and we recorded it, and then I just wanted to give it to somebody. I didn't want to, I was fine with recording stuff for me, but I wasn't planning on putting myself back out there. But here I am, and now I've got to get the social media stuff up to speed, and
exactly.
I don't know if I'll actually do a website, but with the YouTube channel and all the
Yeah.
socials, I got some old songs too. I'm gonna throw up there again, and I've got another one already recorded that's fairly new, and working on some more stuff. So I might as well.
Yeah, you might as well. It's great to get it out there. It's just the other bits that go with promoting the new music that aren't quite as enjoyable, such as
Right. Well, right. Well, I guess I don't know. Is it easier or not easier these days? I don't know. Maybe not easier, but there's such a learning curve to all the
yeah.
promotional stuff these days. I can't keep up with it. So I'm doing my best.
No, it's crazy. When was the last time you played? Like, do you do like acoustic sets every now and again? Do you keep your hand?
Nope. Nope. Last time I played um last time I played with Trixter, I think was maybe 2018.
Hmm.
And then I was kicking around here with a couple of cover bands for a while. And that was probably right around that same time
Yeah.
that I stopped doing that as well.
Do you miss it,
I don't, I
or
don't,
is or is there a bit of it that you miss?
maybe a little bit. I think if I had the opportunity to do purely my own stuff,
Hmm.
that might be fun. That might be fun. But to do other people's stuff, I'm over that. And really the Trickster stuff, those guys are out there doing their three-piece thing, and I love it, and I'm
Yeah.
glad they're doing it. But that's their thing now. I actually jammed with them for the first time in a long time. In March, they came through Arizona and they called me up and they said, "You gonna come down, see us, and say hello?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll come down. I'm gonna come say hi." They're like, "You gonna jump up and do a couple of songs?" I'm like, "Shit, okay, yeah."
Cool. That would be,
So
yeah, it
yes,
must be
so that
nice.
was cool.
It must be nice to like all of you be cool with things because I know I have I think I've spoken to everyone. I've spoken to Steve last when he was I can't even remember what project it was. It was one of his many. I think
Yeah.
just after he'd played with Def Leppard, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
And he'd filled in there a while, but he seems to be always constantly busy. But
Never stops.
yeah, and PJ as well is in his fair share of bands, I guess. But
Oh yeah, yeah. He
hmm,
never stops too. He's in Chris Jericho's Fozzy, and
hmm,
he's all over they're both all over the place. I don't have their energy.
no, that's right. But I mean, it's great to hear something like this. I've got a few friends actually who were in the business, I guess, around about the time you were, who have let's say moved into a different style of music, sort of like naturally over the years, and it is more that organic sort of Americana style of things. And I think I've not really heard anyone who that sort of style suits as much as you. Your voice
Oh, right on.
seems to be. I mean, I'd love to hear some more songs, but Around Again seems to. I just don't think it's another, let's say, singer from the end of the 80s, start of the 90s who's putting out
Right,
a song.
right, right. And I
There's
and
there's something there.
yeah, I appreciate that. I didn't set out to write this in for any particular way. It's just, me being myself.
Mm,
Even in Trickster, I co-wrote, some songs lyrically and whatnot, but those songs weren't, um, they were written for that genre of music, arena rock type stuff, which is, I appreciate that stuff and I did it. But to the core, that's not me. It really isn't, even though, I did it. And especially now, as I'm older, it's really not me. And the more earthy stuff, which was always inside of me, just feels more natural and more believable when
mm,
I'm doing it. That's the big thing. You
yeah.
know, there's a lot of guys from that era that are still trying to record music that sounds like it was from that era and singing those same lyrics, which, like, you were in your 20s then, now you're in your 50s. It kind of, it feels a little weird to me.
Yeah. I mean,
But
interesting
whatever.
it's interesting as a fan because I mean I can still listen to that old stuff. I mean I picked up the debut when I heard your new song. I picked up the debut and gave that a spin again and thought, wow, that album's 35 years old next year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
can you believe it? It's crazy how time seems to pass so quickly the older you get.
Yeah.
It's
Time is a thief. It's a
mm.
thief.
Would you be up for like a one-off show, like a big festival or something like that? Or like revisiting like you did, I guess, with Rock in America and Rocklahoma before
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I would entertain the thought of it. I
Mm.
would entertain the thought of it. I would have to figure out how I would pull it off, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, let's leave it at that then. It must have been fantastic in the early days though, going out with some of those big names, your Poisons and Scorpions and Kisses, especially as I guess a really young band to actually see some of those uh, bands play live, and not only that, but you getting up on stage before them.
Oh yeah,
What are your
yeah.
favorite memories of playing live? What did you enjoy most about it?
I think for us, back then, we were the younger bunch out of, the Scorpions or Kiss. I mean, with Warrant and Firehouse, we're kind of pretty close to the same age as a lot of those guys. I think with the Scorpions, it was great because they were pretty much our first real big full arena blown out type tour. I mean, before that we toured with Don Dawkins solo deal. Um, we were doing, big clubs, theaters. We did a few shows with Poison and Slaughter, and then we got a phone call and they said, "Hey, do you want to go out with David Lee Roth or the Scorpions?"
Yeah,
And we were mostly all huge Van Halen fans,
yeah,
and we were so torn, but we made the decision to go out with the Scorpions, which was the right decision because that tour did really well. That tour was selling out multiple nights in arenas back to back, which is crazy. But those guys were great and they sounded amazing. They were super nice people. As a matter of fact, the first show, I believe, was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we got there the day before. And that night, the night before the show, there was a mandatory meeting with the Scorpions. And we're like, oh, okay, a mandatory meeting. All right, where's it at? What, we going to the, someone's conference center in a hotel or whatever. They're like, no, it's at a strip club. We're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be just great.
nice. I mean, it's funny you mentioned the Scorpions because, of course, 2010 was billed as their farewell tour to the States.
Yeah, sure.
When we saw them there, Rock in America, and I've seen them, I think, about six times since then. So it's
They're great. I mean, they're still doing it. I don't know how they sound now. I'm sure they sound pretty darn good.
yeah, it sounded pretty good last time. Let's take it all the way back. One thing that always fascinates me is when people realize how important music's going to be to them. What was that point for you when did you know that music was going to be, I guess, such a large part of your life?
Hmm, good question. Um, for me, like my earliest memories of music were, always with your parents or your older siblings or whatever. So it's kind of stuff that I didn't even know was sinking in. You're in the back seat of the family car and you're going wherever, and they've got the local station on and it's playing all the hits, of that time. And for me, that was in the 70s. So I'm hearing the Eagles, I'm hearing Elton John, I'm hearing, some disco stuff. I'm hearing, um, you know, all sorts of different great music. And I didn't really realize it, but it was sinking in. And then, as I became like a teenager in my late teens and I would hear those songs, I'd go, how do I know this song? Why do I know all the words to this song? I'm like, this is amazing. So for me, like late teens, I really started realizing that music was pretty powerful to me, really made me feel certain ways. Um, and then at that time too, I was like, you know, I'm gonna like the music I want to like, and I'm not gonna like what my parents like, and I'm gonna like, my buddy played me Judas Priest. And I was like, holy cow, this is really good. I love this. And then I heard, Van Halen. I heard when they first released Unchained. I heard that on the radio. I was like, my head exploded. Um, and then soon after that, I got into a band, and I didn't have any intention on ever getting into a band. I love music, I guess that was half the battle, but probably in my mid to late teens, I really started realizing how powerful music was, and and what it meant to me. And I still feel that way. I even more than ever. It's, I don't have to tell you. It's obviously it affects you just like it affects me. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's something that'll never go away, and it's something that's always there for you, and it's something that like there's always new stuff, and then there's like the comfort food of going back into the past and listening to that as well. But there's nothing more for me. There's nothing more exciting than hearing a new song from someone that I know I love their past music and thinking, wow, this is crazy. This is like 35
That,
years later. I'm still hearing great music, and
that's that's
that's what
that's
I take away.
that's really cool. And and I would feel the same way, you know, for somebody that, I've enjoyed listening to in the past. And you're speaking of new music, I hear a lot of people, a lot of old like rock guys go, there's no good music anymore. And we're gonna listen to, only the stuff we listened to for 30 something years. There's a lot of really good music now. There really is. And I love just stumbling over something and going, oh my God, this is amazing. Who is this? It's like, I love that. I still love that.
Yeah, I do, and I think I've always been quite eclectic. So it's not just been rock music for me. So I think
Right.
and it's the same now. I mean, I'll listen to anything basically if it's got a guitar in it. I'm there. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
sounds-
right on.
I think
Are
that's
you a Southern River Band fan?
sort of. They've got sort of like a checkered sort of history, really. I mean,
Oh, really?
starting off in Australia, I don't think there's any original members in there, and most people think they're an American band, which I guess they are now. So,
Wow.
but yeah, I love that sort of thing. I love that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty AC/DC-ish.
Yeah, and of course they'll never change. They'll
Right.
always be AC/DC as long as Angus,
Right.
I guess. So
That's right. That's right.
yeah. Um, when was the first time you picked up a guitar? Did that come first, or did the
No, no. I picked that up after I was in um oops, sorry about that. After I was in Trixter. Just because, during rehearsals and whatnot, there was always guitars around, and I think I got my first guitar right around that same time. I never really devoted too much time to it. I learned a few things. I've devoted a lot more time to it in the last 10 years than I ever have. Um, Not too much lately, but um, yeah, I mean, probably in the last 10 years or so, I've really kind of really started getting into it. I've always been into guitar. I've always been into really good guitar players too. I've always had a really good ear for that. Um, but amps and pedals and guitars and stuff like that, yeah, I've been pretty deep into that for a while now.
cool? And I'm guessing like some of the earlier stuff you wrote probably didn't start with a guitar. Did it start with a melody, or like
Uh,
for example, this song? How did I mean? There's such a lovely melody to it. It's
no, that it started with guitar. I was just me sitting around playing my acoustic,
mm,
and that's how it works for me. It's just, there's only so many chords you can play, but it's the way you play them, it's the time in between the changes, and it just brings out a melody to me. It could be the same four chords being played different ways, and it will bring out a totally different melody for me. So, and with this song too, as in a lot of songs that I have ideas for or write, I'll come up with a melody, and sometimes I'll come up with a lyric right on that spot. And I try to stick with that lyric because I feel like it came out for a reason. So certain words sing better than others. There's no two ways about that. And then for me, that's how it works. And that's how it worked with this song. So a lot of what's there was initially what I came up with.
Yeah, it's
And then I
fantastic.
had to build around it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how it works for a lot of people. But I mean, sometimes there's just a phrase or a word. And I'm guessing you like a lot of musicians. You've probably got a lot of old ideas that just you haven't come to fruition yet, maybe.
Right. This one's proof. This was, I think,
Yeah.
2016. I, just sat there and,
Yeah.
right where I'm sitting now, basically, and with my phone there and just go, oh, that sounds pretty good. Let me record that. Verse, chorus. Okay, now what? I don't know. Well, whatever.
Yeah. We've got a radio show and we sort of feature a couple of artists every week. So we'd love to feature you on this one and
Love it. Love it.
play the new single. But there's a couple of things we always ask when we do that segment. And I'll ask you those two questions now if you don't mind. One of
Sure.
them is if you could have been a fly on the wall for the creation of any great album in the history of rock and roll, what would you love to have seen being made? So not necessarily your favorite album, but just one that's always, I guess, intrigued you, how they got that sound, how they laid it all down.
Oh, geez. I don't know. Maybe I'd probably say like maybe like the Beatles, like the White Album or something like that. I mean,
That would have been
they
great.
they they were so limited with
And,
technology. So, I mean, we know a lot of what they did, or at least, what they tell us, but man, can you imagine just being there? And I mean, my God, amazing,
yeah,
unbelievable.
have you seen the documentary that came out recently? People?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
I mean,
Yeah, it
just
was really cool.
it was cool to see them just like
That was really
stand
cool.
around jamming and playing stuff and see
Yeah,
where it took them.
it was just cool just seeing them interact with each other. I was like, I always had different feelings about different guys in that band. I was like, man, like Ringo's like really like he can really
Yeah.
smack the drums, man. I was like, he had a cool vibe about him, and Lennon was like really funny, and I didn't really pick that up about him. And McCartney is just amazing. That guy is so good.
One of a kind. And we always leave with an easy question. What is the meaning of life?
The meaning of life is be happy, love those close to you, and stay away from the negativity.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. It wastes so much time, doesn't it? It takes so much effort to deal with it that it's just not worth it. You think you're fighting a battle, but in the end, some people never change.
No,
Now, it's our 15th birthday this year, so we've been going for 15 long years, and
nice.
we're just putting together a video compilation of people saying happy birthday to the Rockpit.
Absolutely.
If you wouldn't mind, last person I spoke to yesterday was Andy Scott from the Suite.
Nice. All right. Yeah, you want me to do one right now?
I'd love that if you could, Pete.
Perfect. Hey guys, Pete Loran here. Happy 15th birthday to the Rockpit. Cheers.
Thank you so much, my friend. It's been lovely to speak to you. I can't wait for more stuff to come out.
I appreciate it.
I'm very impatient, but yeah,
Well,
you,
the one I have recorded already, it's more of a rocker.
hmm,
Guitars, big guitars. Actually, Gus from Trixter played drums on it.
okay. How is
Yep,
that?
and
I'm
he's
not
good.
spoken to him for a while.
He's a vodka salesman now. He's got his own
Yeah, I
vodka
just saw
company.
that. Yeah.
So he's doing pretty well. And then another friend of ours from Arizona, lives in California now. He's had his run with a couple of famous groups and individuals. This guy named Jordan Ziff, real good guitar player.
Hmm.
Um, he's on it. He wrote it with me. He was in an incarnation of Rat for a little bit not too long ago,
Yeah.
and he played with Marty Friedman for a bunch of tours. Um, amazing guitar player. Actually, Rooster, James Rooster.
Okay.
That guy is a insane guitar player. He's a serious shredder, but he also is a former Nashville session guy. So he's a chicken
Oh, wow.
picker, plays lap steel, slide guitar. It's like amazing.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds like something we all want to hear more of. Thank you so
Yep.
much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. I'm on
Appreciate you, man.
I'm on my first cup of coffee here
I know it's a good morning for you. Pretty
in Western
early.
Australia. Just to leave, I have asked you a question before. It was in a tent. It was in Oklahoma City, and the question I asked was, Pete, when are you guys going to come to Australia?
I'm trying to think what I would have said then. We hope too soon, probably. That's probably what I said.
Something around that, or like
Yeah.
we've got to get asked, or something like that. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, right. Yeah, Trixter was never over there. Trixter never did a lot of stuff in Europe either. We just kind of missed the boat. Did,
yeah,
we did Japan and after, in the later years when we got back together, then we went to, the UK and we were in South America and Italy but never Australia. But it's a big market. Gotta be, right?
thank you so
Yeah.
much for the time.
Yeah, you too, man. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Hey, no worries. It's been wonderful talk. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Yep, you too. Bye now.